I'm with you 100%.
Good evening and welcome to the March 24th regular meeting of the Gaston County Board of Commissioners. My name is Chad Brown. I serve as chairman of the board as well as the commissioner of the Riverbend Township. I would like to welcome our viewers and thank Spectrum Cable and AT&T for making it possible for our citizens and our live stream audience. I would like to present our Gaston County Commission beginning on my far right.
Alan Fraley, Cherville Township.
Good evening, Scott Sheehan, Gastonia Township.
Jim Bailey, South Point Township.
Kathy Cloninger, Dallas Township.
Bob Hovis, Crowders Mountain Township.
Good evening, Tom Keeger.
At this time, I wish you would rise and please remove your caps. And you can leave those off for the rest of the meeting. And the invocation will be given by Commissioner Hovis and the Pledge of Allegiance by Ms. Cloninger.
Please bow with me. Gracious Father, we come to you tonight ever appreciative of all the gifts of life, ever understanding our position in terms of our faith and our community. Father, we ask that you bestow your knowledge and wisdom upon us tonight as we conduct the business of the county. We ask that you help us recognize those out there that we come in contact with every day who need our words of support, our words of encouragement, and our vision of hope. We ask that you continue to let each of these county commissioners bless their communities, bless those they come in contact with, and certainly work for the betterment of Gaston County. We ask all that in Christ's name. Amen.
First item on the agenda tonight is citizens' recommendation. I'm going to make, if there are no objections, we're going to change that to go first. A portion of the board's agenda is set aside for the purpose of allowing citizens the opportunity to offer comments and suggestions. A comment period is not intended to require the commission or staff to answer any questions or provide a response if not necessary. Questions requiring response shall be answered as soon as possible through the county manager's office. Citizen recognition tonight be limited to 3 minutes. As I call your name, please step to the podium. And the first person to sign up tonight is Mr. Roy, I guess it's Cloud? Ray Floyd? Ray.
Good evening, County Commissioners, Chairman Brown. My name is Ray Floyd, and my address is on the form that I completed earlier. I am a teacher here in Gaston County, and I'm here tonight to urge you to support Gaston County Schools' budget request of $3.6 million to increase the local teacher supplement. Teacher pay in North Carolina is primarily funded by the General Assembly, but due to their lack of prioritizing public schools, teacher pay has slipped to anywhere between 43rd and 48th in the nation, depending on which study you read. My pay as a veteran teacher has increased 2, 1.6, and 0% over the last 3 years. I hope that you discuss this at your next meeting with our legislative delegation. Teacher pay is also supplemented by county funds in the form of a local salary supplement that varies by county. Gaston County's supplement that you provide is somewhere between 78th and 96th out of 115 school districts. That range is because, unfortunately, NCDPI's data seems to include the state's low wealth supplement in some counties, but not all. Based on previous comments, this board believes that teachers' pay is not the county's responsibility, but based on our legislature, most counties are now having to increase their priority of funding teacher pay. According to the NCDPI data, Gaston County's average teacher supplement for the current fiscal year is $2,900 less than Cleveland County, $2,200 less than Lincoln County, and $6,300 less than CMS in Mecklenburg County. These numbers come directly from NCDPI and are not a study funded by the left or the right. Gaston County school student population is approximately 30,000. Similarly sized districts of between 25 and 35,000 have an average supplement of 4,200 more than Gaston County. The final component of teacher pay is a state-funded low wealth supplement. With Gaston County no longer considered a low wealth county, I can only assume that our annual $1,100 supplement will be zero now. Our neighbors have prioritized teacher pay. Our peers have prioritized teacher pay. In South Carolina, wow, they have prioritized teacher pay, both at the state and local levels. Neighboring York County school districts, Clover, Rock Hill, and Fort Mill, pay between $10,000 and $12,000 more per year than Gaston County. I appreciate the $500,000 increases per year in county-funded supplements over the years, but that has only been $190 per year. My portion of the state health plan premium increased $440 this year. Please invest in Gaston County schools and support the full teacher supplement request by the school board and Dr. Houchard. This would show that you as a board prioritize public schools and truly support your teachers. Thank you.
We're going to hold our applause or any other, just so everybody has the same respect. Ms. Brittany Elkin.
My name is Brittany Elkin, and my address is on the sign-in sheet. As a lifelong resident of Gaston County, a graduate of Hunter Huss High School, a mother of 3, and a friend to many teachers in this district, I'm deeply concerned about the state of public education in our county. Last year, the superintendent requested a $4.5 million increase in funding. He received only $500,000. Not long after that, our district lost $7.2 million in state funding due to increased property valuations. So at a time when our needs are growing, our schools are being asked to do more with significantly less, and that is backed by the numbers. Since 2019, Gaston County has dropped in local per pupil funding rankings. Today, we sit roughly around 85th out of 115 districts in North Carolina. We are firmly in the bottom 25%. And when you compare Gaston County to peer counties with similar size and financial capacity, we are allocating 10 to 15% less of our local resources to education. So to put that plainly, counties like ours are investing more in their schools than we are. And this is not about what we can afford. It is about what we are choosing to prioritize. In comparison to our peer counties, we are falling behind. And I use that word carefully, falling, because that implies an accident. This is not accidental. This is a pattern of decisions. It is one thing to talk about these numbers, but it is something entirely different to recognize what those numbers actually represent. Those numbers show up in classrooms in the day-to-day experiences of our children. And I don't know about all of you, but when the budget gets tight at our house, we do not look to cut things from our children first. But that is what it feels like we're doing right now in Gaston County. It feels like our children are being funded with what is left over instead of being treated like the priority that they should be. Teachers are being asked to do more with fewer resources. Many are purchasing basic classroom supplies or relying on donations for things that the schools should already have. We have teachers who cannot make copies because there is no paper. Tell me another profession where you show up to work and you are expected to bring the basic tools or purchase the basic tools that you need to do your job, because it's become normalized and it should not be. Families are paying attention, and when families pay attention and begin to leave our school system and our county, we are going to pay for that. But if we continue to underinvest in our schools, our greatest asset, and our children, we are going to limit the potential that I, as a realtor, as a lifelong resident of this county, know that we have. We need to invest in our kids. So I'm going to leave you with this. If counties with similar resources are making different choices, why aren't we? And what is the plan to ensure that Gaston County does not stay at the bottom of the list?
Next person is Nira Philpott.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Naria Philpott, and my address is listed on the sign-in sheet. Faith over fear. Being comfortable with the monument that symbolizes a war fought to preserve slavery demonstrates to Gaston County residents and to our nation that Gaston County has some decision makers that have fear over faith. A fear of unity, a fear of standing up for what is right, and a reluctance to confront the truth that God created all of us equal under his kingdom. If we truly ask ourselves, what would Jesus do? The answer would not align with protecting a symbol that's rooted in division and oppression. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. reminds us that progress requires courage, the courage to stand together in truth and equality. And looking around this room sends a powerful message about what Gaston County represents in 2026. We have Caucasians in the audience, African Americans, and other nationalities. As an African American woman, I stand here today as an equal amongst my sisters, Ann and Debbie, with Indivisible Gaston. I stand here able to speak to all of you directly in honor of my ancestors Ancestors who would not have had this opportunity had the Confederacy succeeded in preserving slavery. I have faith that fear can be transformed into courage and division into understanding. As shown in the movie The Best of Enemies, change begins when people choose to see one another not as enemies, but as human beings. I encourage everyone to watch it. Everyone. Chairman Brown, you may lose the support of some by choosing to remove this monument, but what you will gain will echo far beyond this room. Because years from now, no one will remember the fear that kept this monument standing, but they will remember the courage it took to bring it down. So today the choice is simple. Will Gaston County be remembered for holding on to the past or have the courage to move forward? Change is inevitable. Choose faith over fear. Thank you.
The next speaker is Debbie Clay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Debbie Clay. My address is recorded. I'm from Gaston County. I've been a Gaston County resident since 2001. Confederate monuments cause unavoidable harm on underserving people by serving as a constant reminder of America's racism. Some of us here may not understand or even accept the pain it causes because we were born into white privilege. I was born in white privilege. The majority of us are white privilege. We were born that way. We don't experience racism, but it's not fair if we choose not to care about others who experience racism and marginalism every day. Some of you may remember the movie or the novel Gone with the Wind. I think everybody here probably enjoys parts of that. The part that's fictional in that novel, in that movie, was how cheerful and how joyful the slaves were. And that's not true. They had hope, but they were not joyful and they weren't cheerful. But yet people that watch that movie or read that novel, you know, these people, especially the young people, they think that might be true. And so they think that slavery is not all that bad because look how wonderful they were treated in that movie. But they weren't treated that wonderful. So people of color see what their ancestors experienced at the hands of white supremacists and slave owners, and they think that's okay, but it's not. They weren't happy people. So that movie, even though it's got a lot of accolades over the years, a lot of it's fictional. Confederate monuments are less about military heroes and strategy and more about remembering us who was on top and those who were on the bottom. So in closing, while some of us may be sympathetic to slavery, we can never truly understand what their ancestors have experienced through racial profiling and discrimination that happens not to white privilege, but for those who are underserved. Leaving the monument in place glorifies a wound that won't allow healing. Thank you.
Ms. Deanna Graham.
Before I begin, I will repeat the question I raised at last month's meeting because it demands an answer. If justice is truly blind, why does a symbol of Confederacy stand at the very entrance of our courthouse? Good evening, my name is Deanna Graham, Vice President of the NAACP, Gastonia Branch 5394B. Tonight, I stand before you not just disappointed, but deeply troubled, because a courthouse is supposed to be sacred ground. It should represent fairness, protection, and equal justice under the law. But for many in our community, walking past a monument honoring the Confederacy does not feel like justice. It feels like a contradiction. Let's tell the truth, plain and unfiltered. The Confederacy was established to preserve slavery. That's not a perception, that is history. So when that monument stands at the door of justice, it sends a message, whether intended or not. It tells some citizens your history of oppression is still being honored here. And this raises a deep question that we cannot ignore. Who does justice belong to? Because justice cannot be blind if the symbols surrounding it are not. So let's be absolutely clear. The decisions that are made in this room matter. Please know any attempt, local or national, to lock in power for one party or for one ideology, it will fail. This is a democracy where elections have consequences. Power does not belong to you, it belongs to the people. And if you believe your seat is safe, the same people that voted you in will vote you out. Choose carefully. So let me be clear when I say this. If that monument is part of your history, preserve it. Teach it. Learn from it. But it does not belong at the courthouse. It does not belong at the front door of justice. A courthouse should be a place where every person walks in with confidence, not conflict, with dignity, not doubt. And we will continue to speak, to stand, and to act lawfully, peacefully, until justice is not only promised inside this courtroom, but reflected outside of it. Thank you.
Sean Bates. Tatia Prado.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Dr. Tasha Prieto. I provided my residence address on the sign-in sheet. I was born in North Carolina. I spent a large part of my childhood at my grandma's house in rural North Carolina, and I'm currently a property owner in Gaston County. My family history in North Carolina goes back to the 1700s. I'm here to add my voice of discontent regarding the Confederate statue outside that glorifies racism. While I know it might be difficult for this particular group of people, try to imagine what message that statue gives to persons of color who come to this government building for work, for assistance, and for justice. I think the message is not one that an equality-minded county would want to give, and that's embarrassing considering the fix is so simple. Use some of that renovation money to put it in a museum. Let the racists visit it there. To say that we are leaving up that statue to honor our war dead is to dishonor those Americans who actually served America. Because let's be honest, the Southern side was not the American side in that war. Their service was not noble. I say this as a veteran of the U.S. Army. We should only honor those soldiers who truly fought for America and American ideals. Finally, even Southern families can grow with the times. Mine is an example of that. My family tree includes those who fought on the Southern side of the Civil War. We don't celebrate or honor them, just like we don't celebrate or honor the members of my family who served in the KKK. We are correctly embarrassed about both. Our family today includes recent non-white immigrants and African Americans with a long history in this country. My family has grown beyond supporting slavery and racism. Gaston County can do the same. Thank you.
Thomas Gillespie.
Good evening. My address is on the books for
As a member of the Council of Understanding, I was appointed by this council some years ago, I stand here today again saying that we had voted to relocate the Confederate statue, and the vote was to move it. But I simply want to say tonight, and paraphrase President Ronald Reagan, as he told Mr. Gorbachev, he said, "Tear down that wall." Paraphrasing Mr. Gorbachev, I want to say tonight, Board of Commissioners, relocate that Confederate statue. Lastly, rather than have the Confederate statue out there, what should be out there should be the scales of justice with Lady Liberty. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Joshua Brown.
Joshua Brown, 1149 Knowles Drive, Mount Holly, North Carolina. Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners, first I'd like to, if you're here with the Gaston County Fire Service, if you would just please stand real quick. Thank you. You may be seated. Last month I came and talked about ISO, sent you some information on some things. I was asked by Mr. Chairman Brown to give some information on ISO ratings. In 2023, 17 contract fire departments had their ISO ratings ranging from a 4 all the way up to a 7/9E based off their response and their distance from their fire stations. In 2026, 14 departments have improved their ISO ratings. They've changed, all of them have lowered down with the lowest being a 3, like we talked about last month. 5 hits your homeowners. When you start getting below that, you start affecting your businesses where cost savings are going in there. Other than with the rural aspect, water supply is the biggest target hazard. We don't have that. Then our next biggest target is manpower. Just last month, we had a 30-acre wildfire in Tri-Nautics Fire District. Called for probably the whole western side of the county that committed to that. Continually had to call additional resources just to get manpower and apparatus to get there to come that. A typical house fire response gets 4 to 5 stations. Currently, right now, we staff 2. That's 8 or 10 people showing up. 15 is the effectiveness firefighting force that we need to show up on scene. Every person needs a partner stretching an attack line. You at least need 2 of those in place. You're searching for victims, you're removing them, you're ventilating the house, you're setting up rural water supply operations. Task saturation occurs quickly, and the manpower is depleted very rapidly. A citizen survey has been out on the Gaston County Firefighters Association Facebook page that is able to be filled out by any citizen in Gaston County. And I would highly encourage you to seek that information. So far, we have had 346 surveys posted with a total population of just over 1,100 people represented by those 346 households. Number 1 response that they put on there based off of fire response, EMS, technical rescue, public service was fire response. Citizens are saying that they want a fire truck on scene within 3 to 7 minutes. 114 of those people want 3 on a fire truck. 185 want 4 on a fire truck. 30 want 2. 15 want 1. A standard that we follow is just the minimum. We're trying to raise that standard, provide a quality service to the citizens of Gaston County. The firefighting force is here. We've been here. We've done it for a long time without pay. Pay is not the aspect of what we're looking at. We're assessing the risk that we're going to now with being a busier county, more population. We're needing the manpower on the trucks, the rear ends and the seats as they pull up to the scene of the fires. NFPA 1720 is the standard that we've adopted in our contract to be followed that we want to uphold to y'all. There are things that we're trying to strive to accomplish that will set us apart from other counties in this state so we can have a quality fire service for our citizens. Thank you.
Ms. Hamlin?
Hello, my name is Mary Lou Hamlin, and I lived on Black Snake Road. I'm sorry, I was trying not to cry. On December 28th was one of the saddest days of my life. It's the last time I saw my husband of 52 years when I pulled him out of our burning home. In addition to losing my husband, I lost everything for my entire life, including my cat, SC, my dog, Maddie. Although our house was a total loss, I want to thank the Lucia Riverbend Volunteer Fire Department, along with the other 9 fire departments that responded. I didn't understand at the time that the fire trucks were there, but not the water. There was no water to put out my house. I am advocating for funding to be included in this year's budget. Training on emergency response, additional equipment, staffing, as you just heard, are just a few of the things to help strengthen the fire protection in our area in which funds are desperately needed. I am hoping by doing this, no other family has to experience what we had to go through. Please, please, please help by including funds in your budget for this year. Thank you.
I want to say one thing, too.
Sorry, ma'am.
May I speak
Just-
one small thing? The night of the fire, when I went out there, watching people staring at the fire without doing anything.
Hold 1 second. I need your name and address for the record before you can speak.
Okay, sorry.
Hold on 1 second. Is it all right for the board to let her speak? Thank you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Lisa Chapman, my address is 6916 Dutton Street. It's in Huntersville, North Carolina, 28078.
Tell me who you are.
My father was one lost in the fire.
But what we hope is that they get the funds that they need
Yes.
to be able to get more volunteers, more people helping in.
It's been on hold for a while. The funds have been there, but it's been on hold. But like I said, there's nothing worse than pulling up to the fire, to the house on fire, partially on fire, and seeing everybody standing in the road with no water being thrown on the fire. I thought I was in shock. I thought that I dreamt it up. I thought, man, maybe I don't know. When she woke up, that was probably one of the first things she said. There was no water throwing on the house, and there wasn't. And at that time, the animals were still in there. My dad was already gone, but there was things that could have been saved. And with no water, there wasn't. That's all.
Thank you.
Caleb Wimburn, is that?
Good evening. My name is Joshua Caleb Bear Winburn, 833 Westerland Court, Gastonia, North Carolina. It's my honor to be here tonight to talk to y'all. I'm a teacher at Cramerton Middle School. I wanted to talk to y'all about making Gaston County schools a priority this year. As we know, the County Commission is formulating the county annual budget. Currently, competing needs from across the county are requesting funding for this year ahead. Public safety like fire, law enforcement, social services, infrastructure, capital projects, and many others are all asking to be and should be supported by our local tax dollars. I'm here to ask that our local community schools be considered as a top priority in this year's budget beyond what is normally provided. We need your help. Budget considerations are fierce this year in our district. Schools face hiring freezes, a frozen state budget, cool compensation for teachers and staff, an end to pandemic funding that supported academic recovery, the loss of low wealth funding, and many other financial constraints that ultimately lead us to the same place. We need y'all's help. The County Commission represents a critical part of our school system's success. Its budget and planning enable on the back end what we do every day in our schools on the front end. Without y'all, we would not be able to do what we do. Without the greater community, through tax dollars, support, volunteering, involvement, and interest, we would not be able to meet the high expectations you all set for us. We need your help. As a relatively new teacher at 5 years, having graduated from the Abbey, I can attest to the hard work happening in our schools. This compares to residential construction and manufacturing I did previously. Teachers and staff go above and beyond every school day. Staff make sure our kids are fed, their classes are clean, safely transported, and taken care of throughout the school day. All over the county, teachers prepare students for the next class, the next grade, for graduation, for good jobs, or for college. We work alongside families to see that kids can thrive in a supportive environment and grow into contributing adults ready for life as grown-ups. This is a lot of work and challenging work. We need your help this school year. Support the students and families of this community by supporting our schools and teachers and our future workforce. I only ask that on your drive home tonight, think back to a teacher that inspired you. What was their name? What grade? What did they teach? What was that moment that still stands out to you all these years later? We want to be that for this current generation. We need your help to achieve that. And after hearing the fire department folks speak, they need help too. Thank y'all.
The next item, I'm going to add the superintendent to come speak. Mr. Houchard.
Thank you, Chairman Brown. Morgan Houchard, 943 Osceola Street in Gastonia. Chairman Brown and County Commissioners, good evening. I come to you this evening to discuss a very important matter and to seek your help. As you know, Gaston County schools, like many other school systems in North and South Carolina, are facing serious budget deficits that are hindered the effective dailiness of operations in our schools. Some factors that specifically are affecting Gaston County schools at this time. First, the North Carolina General Assembly still has not approved a comprehensive state budget for the 25-26 fiscal year, which has created less revenue for schools, as well as a critical level of financial uncertainty as we move forward. In September, 2 months after the school year began, Gaston County schools experienced a $7.2 million reduction in what are called low wealth supplemental funds from the state. There was no relief plan offered, which makes it difficult because these funds were budgeted to align to pay faculty, staff, and support our schools. Inflation has increased significantly over the last 5 years, which has a negative impact not only on school budgets, but on all of our budgets. We are all feeling effects of this. For several years, we were able to hire the necessary support that our students needed with ESSER funding, which ended in 2024. Even though that financial support ended, the needs of our students in schools did not. They continued in schools and still continue to this day. Finally, as we planned this school year, my first budget, we began by eliminating 69 school-level positions and 14 central office positions. That was 83 in total. At the time, I was led to believe and supplied with pre-audits to show that our numbers and budget were in line with revenues and that we would be able to balance at year's end. The board and I were given information by a trusted long-term employee concerning the 25-26 school budget. 4 months into the school year, I began to question if this information was correct, and it was not. Even after 83 positions were eliminated, I found approved overallotted positions in the following areas. PRC 003, which is non-instructional positions, PRC 006, mental health positions, PRC 001, classroom, and PRC 004, enhancement teachers. What we have done up to this point. In November of last year, I implemented a hiring freeze for central office employees, which now for the 25-26 school year totals 34 positions. As well, central office personnel will move to fill unoccupied positions in our schools. In December, I implemented a hiring freeze for all positions except those required by law and critical jobs such as bus drivers and exceptional children position. On March 1st of this year, Gaston County Schools implemented a spending and purchasing freeze for schools at central level departments. All purchases outside of current contractual obligations must have my approval or an assistant superintendent. And finally, to help me better understand and work through this budget school year, I requested HIL consultants to review our current financial status. The consultants expressed concern about a budget shortfall and shared with me that the school system will need cash flow assistance to complete the 25-26 school year. The cash flow issue, according to HIL consultants, is the result of spending exceeding the amounts of revenues and allotted positions received. HIL consultants acknowledged that Gaston County Schools' financial situation was caused by a significant decrease in low wealth funding, inadequate funding for inflation, the expiration of ESSER funds, and staffing levels not aligned with declining financial resources. After all the cost-saving measures taken, we are projected to have a 2.1% shortfall of our annual budget. $10 million. Cash flow for the next 3 months is at a critical level. So I'm asking for a transfer of $10 million from your fund balance to enable us to finish the school year whole and to continue to support our students and teachers as they need to be supported, so we don't have to take continued drastic measures as we close out the school year. As the head of Gaston County Schools, I am responsible for every aspect of it. I take full responsibility for this. I fully understand the magnitude of this situation. I understand the position I am putting you in with this request. I wish I did not have to be here today with this situation, and I can assure you I never will again. I'm proud to be part of Gaston County Schools, and I'm thankful we live in a place where the citizens value and want public schools to be successful. I ask you, our education partner in education, to please help with this. Thank you.
At each of your seats, you have a copy of the board action that I'm going to introduce during the approval of the agenda later for non-consent to appropriate the funds. And that'll be coming back in just a few minutes. The next item is proclamations. Now I ask Commissioner Hovis for proclamation for proclaim March 23rd through the 27th, 2026 is First Responder Wellness Week. So if you're one of those first responders, we ask you to come up.
You're a first responder, come on up.
Yeah, if all first responders would please join us in addition with the folks from the Gaston County PD, that'd be great. Any of y'all are welcome. You all of you provide a vital service to our citizens, have mostly for many, many years. So I appreciate you coming to join us as well.
It's right behind me. It'd be great.
As these folks come forward, I'll go ahead and begin the reading the proclamation. Whereas first responders, including law enforcement officers, firefighters, emergency medical services personnel, 911 dispatchers, correctional officers, and members of other organizations in the public safety sector come together to protect and aid our community in the event of emergency. And whereas first responders risk their lives and safety every day in the performance of their duties to protect our citizens, and whereas first responders are tasked with handling dangerous and complicated situations, And whereas nationwide law enforcement officers will go through an average of 188 critical incidents through the course of their career. And whereas first responders often experience stress that has real physical impacts, including cardiac issues, diabetes, obesity, and sleep issues. And whereas first responders are up to 25.6 times at a higher risk for developing post-traumatic stress disorder when compared to individuals without having these said experiences. And whereas first responders' wellness includes management of issues, including but not limited to sleep, fitness, nutrition, fatigue, anger management, post-traumatic stress, and loss. And whereas we recognize the integral role first responders play in our communities and the benefits derived from their hard work to our communities, commitment that they give, the sacrifice to their family and their own personal being, and unhesitating dedication. And whereas research shows that fostering a strong wellness culture inside first responder agencies enhances relations within the communities that they serve. Now therefore be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims March the 23rd and through the 27th, 2026 as First Responder Wellness Week in Gaston County. And this is adopted tonight, the 24th day of March. Chief Seal. Thank you.
Commissioner Hovis and Chairman Brown and Board of Commissioners, also the Manager's Office. Thank you for taking the time to recognize all of our first responders and understand the troubles that we face throughout the course of our careers and our jobs, the traumas that we're exposed to. It's a difficult task. We gladly take it on, but what makes it easier is knowing that we have a board that fully supports us and a manager's office that's fully supported us throughout the year. So I want to thank you on behalf of the county police as well as all first responders for your continued support as we go forward. So thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is public hearing. The commission will now take citizens' comments on 3 public hearings. Comments will be taken on the following issues: Conditional District REZ 212, Conditional District REZ 236, Zoning Map Change REZ-239. Before we begin, let me outline the rules and procedures of the hearing. Citizens wishing to make comments will be recognized by the chair, then requested to step to the microphone for their comments. Citizens will state their name and address for the record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. All questions shall be directed to the chair for forms of response. The chair shall rule on all points of order. Do I hear a motion to go into public hearing? Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. The County Commission will now take citizens' comments on public hearing, Conditional District REZ-212. Ms. Jamie Leasy, Planner 2, Building and Development Services, will provide a brief overview. Once she has completed her comments, citizens' comments will be taken. Ms. Leasy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. REZ 25-01-28-00212 is a conditional rezoning request for parcel ID 175091 at 13460 Lucia Riverbend Highway. The applicant and property owner is Farak Gassemi. This request is to conditionally rezone from the R1 Single Family Limited Zoning District with urban standards and corridor highway overlays to a conditional District C3 General Commercial Zoning District with urban standards and corridor highway overlays. The subject parcel...
I just moved it out of your way, so.
Thank you.
I'll put it back.
The subject parcel is located north of Mount Holly city limits. This ortho photo shows the parcel is located directly across the street from Mount Holly Firehouse and behind Mountain Island Charter School. Currently, the property is being used as a contractor's office and equipment storage yard. However, this use is not permitted within the R1 Single Family Limited Zoning District.
This rezoning request originated from a code enforcement complaint in March of 2022 regarding the operation of a contractor's business on a residential lot. Since that time, the applicant has sought to rezone the property in order to bring it into compliance with county regulations. The zoning map shows the subject parcel is surrounded by residential zoning with pockets of commercial and industrial in the vicinity. The white areas are Mount Holly jurisdiction. This map shows the parcels that were notified about tonight's public hearing. A sign was placed on the site on March 9th. This is the list of properties that were notified. As for public input, the case has been added to the Planning and Zoning Current Cases page on engagegaston.com. As of today, there were no questions or concerns posted on the project page. Staff received one call for site plan clarification, but no concerns were shared during that conversation. This lot was served by municipal water as well as private well and septic system. According to NCDOT's current STIP, there are no funded transportation projects in the immediate vicinity. The CTP shows recommended pedestrian facilities along Lucia Riverbend Highway, but these improvements are unfunded at this time. This site plan shows a proposed contractor's office and equipment storage yard, as well as parking areas and a type D buffer on the sides and rear of the property. The site plan meets all required setbacks for the CH overlay district, which are stricter than the underlying zoning district of C3. Since the property is adjacent to a residential zoning district, a 30-foot setback is required along the rear property line. Another ordinance section we reviewed included the supplemental regulations for the contractor's office and equipment storage yard. Section 8.3.11 requires a special use permit if the outdoor storage area is greater than 5 acres. In this case, the storage area is approximately 1,500 square feet, and therefore no special use permit was required. General ordinance sections that we looked at during this review included the definition of contractor's office and equipment storage yard, and the underlying zoning district definition for the proposed C3 district. We also reviewed the conditional district definition in the table of uses in section 7.5, which confirmed that the contractor's office and equipment storage yard is permitted use in the underlying zoning district of C3. As this is an existing site, the applicant is requesting relief from lot grading and lot width requirements, as no site alterations are proposed. Parking regulations require 16 spaces for this use. However, the applicant has proposed for providing 10 spaces. The ADA compliant parking space will be paved, while the remainder of the site will remain gravel. The Gaston County TRC reviewed this project on Wednesday, February 18th, and provided the following comments. EMS Natural Resources Building Service had no comment. Environmental Health has record of the septic system, but did not have record of the well, so the applicant is working with Environmental Health to update the records and confirm the well and septic complies with the proposed commercial use. The Planning and Zoning Board heard this request at its March 2nd meeting. The board recommended approval of the request with the provision that the Type D buffer be extended an additional 55 feet towards the road. So this is the site plan. I just wanted to show you that again, to show you that the planning board recommended extending that Type D buffer 55 feet into the front portion of the property. However, staff finds that the 6-foot fence located in a front yard is not consistent with the established residential character of the surrounding properties. If the board chooses to require the additional buffer, staff can work with the applicant to meet the Type D buffer requirements with a combination of the options, just not the fence, not including the fence in that area. Oops. And that's a picture of the site, the residential look of the front of it. As for the comprehensive land use plan, the subject parcels are within the Area 3, Northeast Riverfront Gaston Small Area Plan. The future land use designation is Gateway Center. The center needs to be concentrated around NC-16 and the Catawba River crossing for commercial purposes associated with high traffic volume, as the existing conditions do not lend itself to future residential or mixed-use development. The application, as presented, aligns with the comprehensive land use plan due to its commercial use and potential to increase job opportunities. With that, Mr. Chairman, I conclude my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions you or the board may have, and the applicant does have a short presentation for the board this evening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Any comments from the applicant at this time?
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the board members, my name is Sharak Gassimi. My address is 14320 Lucia Riverbend Highway, where I resided the last 30 years. It's just down the street from this address that we're talking about. I'm representing Earth America as a company, and my brother, who's present here as well. And I'll be brief, but certainly will be here to answer any questions you may have. About the company, Earth America is a mature company, is very successful, locally owned, licensed, and highly experienced landscape and irrigation company with excellent reputation for quality service. This application is for the property to be used as a contractor's office, as the application itself suggests, and a yard to simply park the equipment and the vehicles. There are a number of various commercial businesses on Lucia Riverbend Highway. In my 30 years that I've been there, I've seen quite a few changes in that stretch of road. So this will not be a very unique business there. And with 6 employees and occasionally a little more for seasonal workload, and that's the important piece, no retail traffic whatsoever. The daily activities include, in the morning, employees show up and park their vehicle and take the company vehicle to job site. And after they've done their work in the evening, they come back and take their personal vehicle and go home. And given that, the property will remain vacant through the night. So with everything else that is going on in on that road, I mean, I'll argue that the impact to the neighborhood is actually somewhat less than other commercial businesses there on that stretch of road, and it could even be less than some of the retail, given that after 6, 7 o'clock, there's no activity there at all. So the request again is to allow this property to be rezoned for a contractor's office and a yard to store the vehicle. And we are willing to do whatever we need to do as far as the fence or other means of differentiating this property from the neighbors. I appreciate your consideration and approval.
If you'll just have a seat right there, sir, just for a second.
Okay.
Any citizens wishing to comment on this matter at this time? Any questions from the Board of Commissioners? Mr. Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is it Gaston? Is
Yes.
that correct? Would you mind stepping back briefly?
Yes, sir.
I did have one question.
Yes, sir.
Being a landscape supply for storage facility, is there going to be any storage of any bulk material on site?
Okay, I actually failed to mention that there are some staging material, like some plants and material like that staged for a job, so it's not permanent. They're staged and then they're taken to a specific job, and so it's not a continuous storage of material, no.
So even items such as mulch pine needles, you're not going to have that
No,
on site?
no. I mean, if that happens, most likely will be loaded on a trailer, the trailer will be parked there, and then it will be taken to the job site.
So there will be some increased traffic with material coming in just to state. Is that fair to say?
Well, the traffic really, no more traffic, because the vehicles used to bring material are the company vehicles as well.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Ms. Lizzie, can I get you just for a second? Yeah. I want to go back to the site plan briefly, and if I heard you correctly, our current UDO requires 16 spaces on a lot this size, is that correct?
That's correct.
Why are we considering 10?
I think it's the space limitation that they have, that they've proposed 10 as the optional or the optimal spaces.
But we're not adhering to what we already have in place, correct?
That's correct. It would not meet the code. They're asking for relief of that requirement. Mhm.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes, ma'am. Quick question. What's the property being used for currently?
It's currently being used as a construction site, or for the use that they're
Without it being approved?
requesting. That's correct.
Okay. How long has it been a business there without it being approved?
Roughly about 6-7 years, okay? And really, we have been applying and trying to rezone this for about 4 of them, so.
All right. So you really didn't plan on rezoning it until you got caught?
Well, I mean, that's it may seem like that, but really that location, when it was purchased, it was a commercial, I believe it was painting company there. So, I mean, it was basically based on not really understanding and the requirements for zoning that didn't happen at that time. It was not deliberate.
This is a conditional ask. So, Ms. Leasy, if you'll step back up, Brian, if you'll come over. I didn't notice anything about any hazmat standards or anything from fertilizer or anything. Would that all be, and I would like to see that they have some kind of enclosure, whether it be concrete with a block around it. If they have anything, it's going to be hazmat. It is one of the conditions to making sure that everything is taken care of for the property and the property owners around it. The other what would we do to get to the 16 spaces to make it code? Is that possible to have in the facility?
So I haven't looked at the site plan enough to know why they're asking for the relief to it, whether it's topo or something like that. We can always look at that and see why they're asking for that relief, and if it's something that the board wants to make them adhere to, you're well within your rights to say, no, we're not going to allow that relief.
I know it allows us to negotiate on this behalf. I think there's some angst about our standards that we already have that we're trying to continue on.
So that's the whole reason the CDs are put into the code, is to allow for that negotiation to kind of be somewhere to start with, is to say, you know, these are our standards that we want to get to, but the conditional districts allow you to start having that negotiation to say, because of topo, I can't get to that, but I can do something else, and it starts that back and forth conversation.
As the business were to grow, which obviously is what this sounds to me like what we're doing here for 2 different facilities, with us changing our standards kind of limits me to where I want to vote for something to that effect, because we put those in for a reason. And obviously, I want some assurances that we're gonna have 16 spaces, and we're gonna keep what we have to have there as far as our code, because that's what we're putting in. But that doesn't speak for the rest of the board, it's just myself.
I will offer this up, as codes have changed throughout the years, parking standards have been one of the things that have kind of gone to the wayside a little bit. A lot of times they were just arbitrary numbers that were reached out and grabbed. Also, it put a lot more impervious surface on the ground. You were paving parking areas just for no reason, and when rains come, that water's got to go somewhere because it can't go on the ground anymore. So that's some of the stuff that we're starting to see get alleviated in code. So when we have somebody come in and, for instance, in this one where they're going from 16 that's required down to 10, it's one of the ones that we don't give a lot of pushback on if we can justify that 10 is going to be enough to house the vehicles they got, and we're not going to have people, parking on top of grass where they're leaking oil and things of that nature on the surfaces. We want to see some of that impervious surface go away. And it'll be some of it that you probably, and I go off on a tangent here, but when we do the UDO rewrite, which we're a part of right now, you're going to see some of that stuff that we bring that we want to see some of it go away.
All right. What I'd like for you to do is also, if approved, to continue to review and work with Mr. Gaston on anything that goes, and I don't know what is going to happen, but we'll go forward with that. Any other comments from the board at this time? Seeing none, no additional comments, I will now declare the public hearing closed. Just to recap, the Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval of a vote by 10-0, finding it to be reasonable in the public interest and consistent with the goals of the comp plan to facilitate commercial development and generate additional employment opportunities at the Gateway Center on North Carolina 16. Motion made by Commissioner Keeger, seconded by Commissioner Fraley. Any discussion? All in favor? I'm sorry, Mr.
Keeble included his motion, this is just my observation, if he'll include in his motion to require the landscaping and planning screening in place of the 6-foot fence, I think staff made that recommendation of what we have before us, I think that's more suitable than 6-foot fence, and it also include the 10 versus 16 spaces as part of your motion. You might have part of the motion.
That's what I said.
Okay, good. Misunderstood. Thank you.
Let's go back through it just to make sure Commissioner Keeger's motion includes Mr. Hovis.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Keeger's motion includes the use of landscaping and plantings to do the screening versus a 6-foot fence, and also gives a variance from the 16 spaces to 10, and as staff has recommended.
Have a motion made by Commissioner Keeger, seconded by Commissioner Fraley. No further discussion. All in favor? All opposed? It is 5-2, Madam Clerk. Next item, the County Commission will take citizens' comments on public hearing, conditional district REZ-236 TKC Land Development 2 LLC. The applicant, Ms. Peyton Wiggins, Land Development Manager, Building and Development Service, will provide a brief overview. Once she has completed her comments, citizens' comments will be taken. Mrs. Wiggins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. REZ-25-11-19-00236 is a conditional rezoning request for TKC Land Development 2 LLC for a portion of PID 146880 on Union Road in Gastonia. The applicants are looking to rezone a portion of the property from the R1 Single Family Limited Zoning District with US&CH overlays to the CDC1 Light Commercial Conditional District with US&CH overlays. The property owner is K Talent. As a whole, the subject site is 4.97 acres in size, and the request this evening is for 1.5 acres of this tract. The subject parcel is south of Gastonia city limits in the southern portion of the county. And the ortho photo outlines the entire parcel in blue. However, the request is for 1.5 acres of the site located in the front right corner. As for the environmental features, the site is relatively flat and there's no flood on the property. And the subject property is zoned R1 with R1 surrounding it to the left and rear. Across Union Road and directly adjacent on the right side of the property is C3 General Commercial. This was within a commercial pocket along Union Road. The parcels in gray indicate those who received mail notices for tonight's public hearing. Per the UDO for conditional rezoning request, we notice all properties within a 200-foot buffer of the subject site. These notices were mailed on March 9th, and a sign was placed on site the same day. As of earlier this afternoon, planning staff has not received any calls or emails inquiring about this request. And this is the slide that shows the information for those who were notified. Like with any conditional rezoning request, here's the associated site plan. The proposal includes the construction of a 10,640 square foot Dollar General retail store. The proposed building will meet all the required setbacks, and the site complies with the general buffer requirements outlined in Chapter 11 of the UDO. Parking is provided in both the front and side yards. Additional site features include a designated dumpster location, a monument sign, and a loading area for store operations. As shown on the site plan meets the required setbacks for the CH overlay district, which are stricter than the underlying zoning district of C1. Since the property is adjacent to a residential district, a 30-foot setback is required along the left and rear property line, and a 25-foot setback is shown along the right property line since the adjacent zoning is C3. Another ordinance section we reviewed included the supplemental regulations for the retail use. Section 8.2.32 outlines these regulations, and in this case, no regulations apply to a retail establishment within this district or this side of store. Section 11.3.2 of the ordinance requires a Type D buffer between commercial and residential properties. The buffers must be located on the commercial site. Here, the applicants are proposing a Type D buffer, option 1, along the left side and rear property lines, and there's a small portion of the buffer that carries over on the right property line. This buffer is not required by the ordinance, as it would be commercial next to another commercial district. However, given there are residential homes within the commercial district nearby, the applicants carried over the buffer to screen the commercial site from the nearby single-family dwellings. General ordinance sections we looked at during this review included the definition for retail use and the underlying zoning district definition for the proposed C1. We also reviewed the conditional district definition and the table of uses in section 7.5. The proposal includes one requested area of relief. Chapter 10 of the UDO requires 43 spaces for a retail store of this square footage. Due to the other site plan features, the applicants are requesting a reduction in this number and providing 33 spaces. This request is supported by Dollar General Corporate for general operations, and their letter of support has been attached to your staff packet. The site, if approved, will be served by public water and a septic system. As for roads, Union Road is an DOT-owned and maintained roadway. This request went before the Gaston County TRC on Tuesday, February 17th, and received no comments from building inspections. Natural Resources stated the site will require full erosion control and stormwater plan at the time of permitting. And Environmental Health noted that a registered cemetery, Evans Cemetery, is located on the subject property near the area associated with the rezoning request. As a result of this comment, the conditional rezoning site plan shows a general buffer area around the cemetery based on available information at this time. A condition of approval has been added requiring the exact location of the cemetery to be surveyed and confirmed prior to the issuance of a zoning permit. In accordance with state requirements, the minimum 15-foot setback must be maintained between the cemetery and any development. If the survey location differs from what's generally shown on the site plan, the layout may be adjusted administratively at the time of permitting to ensure compliance with all applicable setback and regulatory requirements. The GCL MPO reviewed this request and provided the following comments. According to the 2026-2035 STIP, there are no funded transportation improvement projects in the immediate vicinity of the site. There is a widening project for Union Road within the MPO CTP. However, this has not yet received funding at this time. For this request, staff is recommending the following conditions of approval. For the record, these conditions are: a subdivision plat must be processed prior to the issuance of the zoning permit. The proposed septic field location may be adjusted during construction document review as needed. Final placement shall be coordinated with and approved by Gaston County Environmental Health and must be finalized prior to the issuance of the zoning permit. The applicant shall provide a survey confirming the exact location of the cemetery prior to the issuance of the zoning permit. Based on the confirmed location, the final site plan may be administratively revised as necessary to comply with all applicable setback and regulatory requirements, provided the overall intent and layout of the approved conditional rezoning site plan is maintained. The planning board added a condition of approval. A decorative 4-foot-tall aluminum fence shall be installed around Evans Cemetery in accordance with the approved buffer boundary upon confirmation the cemetery is located on the subject property. As for public input, this case has been added to the Planning and Zoning Current Cases page on engagegaston.com. As of today, there's been no questions or concerns posted on the project webpage. The comprehensive land use plan identifies this parcel within Area 4, the Garden Gaston Southeast Gaston Small Area Plan. The comp plan identifies this property under the Rural Center Future Land Use Designation. Rural centers are those rural community areas that serve a specific purpose for the immediate need. Staff finds this application as presented consistent with the goals in Rural Center Future Land Use Designation, as it would serve neighborhood needs. The Planning Board heard this case at its March 2nd regular meeting and recommended approval with the added condition noted previously by a 10-0 vote. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my presentation, and applicants are here to answer any questions y'all may have.
Thank you, ma'am. Any citizens wishing to comment, or excuse me, any comments from the applicant at this time?
Knox Campbell, Keith. I'm with the Keith Corporation. Address is 4500 Cameron Valley Parkway, Charlotte. Really just here to answer any questions. Appreciate your time and consideration.
Thank you, sir. If you could just have a seat right there. Any citizens wishing to comment on this matter at this time? Seeing none. Any questions from the Board of Commissioners? Seeing none as well, if there are no additional comments, I will now declare the public hearing closed. Just to recap, the Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval of 10-0, finding it reasonable in the public interest and consistent with the goals and comp plan to service the commercial purpose of the immediate area envisioned in the rural area. Do I hear a motion or to approve? Motion made by Commissioner Sheehan, seconded by Commissioner Hovis. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? It is 6-1, Madam Clerk. The County Commission will now take citizens' comments on public hearing, zoning map change, REZ 239, Catawba River Investments LLC. Ms. Peyton Wiggins, Land Development Manager, Building and Development Services, will provide a brief overview. Once she has completed her comments, citizens' comments will be taken. Ms. Wiggins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. REZ-26-01-06-00239 is a general rezoning request from Catawba River Investments LLC for PID 213896. The owner and applicant is requesting to generally rezone the 113.79 acre parcel from the R1 Single Family Limited Zoning District with U.S. overlay to the I2 General Industrial Zoning District with U.S. overlay. The subject property is within the northeast portion of the county, northeast of Mount Holly city limits. This ortho photo shows the subject site in blue. An active rail line runs along the western boundary of the site. Properties to the north, south, and east are vacant and owned by the City of Mount Holly and Duke Energy. Many of these surrounding properties, as well as the subject site, contain electric utility rights-of-way. There are other various miles of Carolina Thread Trail and mountain biking trails surrounding the subject site. The image here depicts the existing easements on the property in dark blue. Nearby uses include 2 manufacturing facilities, a water treatment plant, Mountain Island Park, a river bin recycling center. Residential homes are located farther west along North Main Street. The environmental map shows the site has significant changes in elevation throughout the property. There's also a flood area located along the eastern portion of the site. The zoning map shows that the property and surrounding properties are R1. The parcels in white fall under Mount Holly zoning jurisdiction. This map shows the property owners who received mailed notices for tonight's public hearing. Those notices were mailed on March 9th, and a sign were placed on site the same day, all in accordance with general statutes. Staff has not yet received any calls or emails about this request. And this is the information of those who received notices. The site, if to be developed, would be served by a private well and septic system at this time. There are 2 points of access for the site. Drywall Drive is along the southern portion of the site and is a private drive, while the other, Mountain Island Road, is toward the northern portion of the site and is an NCDOT roadway. The Gaston County TRC reviewed this request on February 17th, and there were no comments at this time. The GCL MPO provided the following comments, and the full letter is attached in your staff packet for more detail. According to the NCDOT 2026-2035, State Transportation Improvement Program, there are no funded transportation improvement projects in the immediate vicinity of the site. And according to the 2050 MTP, a natural surface trail south in Mountain Island Lake Park connecting Drywall Drive to Dutchman Avenue is included. However, this remains unfunded at this time. This property falls within Area 3 Riverfront Gaston Northeast Gaston Small Area Plan. The future land use designation is suburban development, and this classification consists of significant single-family residential areas that exist around commercial pockets representing a suburban center. Staff finds this application as presented consistent with the goals and future land use designation found within the comp plan, as it will increase job opportunities and commercial activity. The Planning and Zoning Board met at its regular meeting on March 2nd and recommended approval of this request by an 8-1 vote. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
Any comments from the applicant at this time?
I'll speak briefly. Thank you, Chairman Brown, Board, for your consideration. We've owned this property for about 8 years and have worked consistently on those 8 years with Gaston County Economic Development in presenting this site as a future economic driver for the county and the region. To a lesser degree, Mr. Black at City of Mount Holly, once he came on board for their EDC. It's been presented, and one of the major hurdles has been the zoning classification, just being another hurdle to get over the hump to the next level of presentation. We think the site, given its location to National Gypsum, Freightliner, the rail line, the highest and best use, and probably the best use for the site would be some sort of industrial. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Any citizens wishing to comment on this issue at this time? Seeing none, any questions from the Board of Commissioners? Seeing none, I will declare the public hearing closed. Just to recap, the Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval of an 8-1 vote, finding that it is reasonable and public interest and consistent with the goals of the comp plan and will increase job opportunities, commercial opportunities, as envisioned by the Riverfront Gaston Small Area Plan. Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion made by Commissioner Kieger, seconded by Commissioner Sheehan. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. This concludes tonight's public hearing, and I want to thank you all for that. I also want to recognize NASCAR champion Denny Hamlin for supporting his mother tonight, is in attendance. Just want to bring that before we start talking. The approval of the business agenda. I'm going to add the school funding item for the non-consent agenda, as the board will see that. Are there any revisions to be pulled for the business agenda? Seeing some, I'll pull them myself. A, C, and we're going to get rid of D totally off the agenda. Off the consent agenda. What was it, A, C, and D. Sorry, I can't read your lips. Non-consent. That's what I said. The non-consent, A, C, and D. Remove. You good? Any revisions to the business agenda other than A, C, and D pulled from the non-consent? Do I hear a motion to approve the business agenda? Motion made by Commissioner Kieger, seconded by Commissioner Hovis. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Approval of the minutes. You were provided the draft minutes for the regular meeting of January 27th, 2026. Are there any revisions? Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Kieger. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. The approval of the consent agenda. Do I hear the approval of the consent agenda? It's made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Kieger. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. The non-consent agenda, Public Works adoption to ordinance to reform the parking has been pulled. B, Commissioner, Office of Capital Improvements to award a construction contract to WC Construction LLC of the Courthouse fifth floor upfit project for the amount of $12 million, appropriate $9.5 million for the Community Investment Fund to approve the reimbursement declaration. Motion made by Commissioner Kieger, seconded by Commissioner Hovis. All in favor? All opposed? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. C and D are gone. E, Office of Capital Improvements to approve the qualifications-based selection to authorize the county manager and his designee to execute the professional services contract of Indigo River Architectural and Engineering of North Carolina, PC, IRAE, for the South Point Access Boathouse. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Bailey, seconded by Commissioner Hovis. I was waiting on his. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. The next item, the appropriate the general fund balance to provide Gaston County Schools one-time operational funding. Morgan, if you'll come up, and do you want to discuss this, Matt, or how we want to start this?
I have no problem, Mr. Chair.
You want Commissioner Hovis to go ahead? Okay, Commissioner Hovis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As has already been mentioned by several tonight, this county invests heavily in our school system. Maybe not as heavily as some think, but over 30% of your public tax dollars that come out of property tax go to support public education. We take that very seriously. Dr. Huchard and Chairman Chris, the Vice Chairperson, Ms. Dot Cherry, have been in discussion and helping us to understand these new challenges that they find unbeknownst to themselves. I'm very appreciative that Dr. Huchard recognizes that the buck stops at his desk and is taking responsibility for that, although it's not of his doing. We as a county invest too much in students in our school system to allow you to go through the end of the year facing this level of crisis. I have no problem in supporting the action that you have requested, but just as I had spoken to you personally, all actions have forward consequences. We can't treat you any different than we do other departments in terms of DHHS or the Sheriff's Department in terms of working outside your budget. But at the same time, the Gaston County Board of Education and this Board of County Commissioners over the last 5 years of my 9 years on this board have developed a relationship that's probably better than it's ever been. We're able to talk about things that aren't necessarily pleasant. We're able to deal with situations that are realities of the world that we live in. And I'm very appreciative of the dialogue that I have had with you and most of your board members, not all of your board members. Some of them have actually come to my home to meet and discuss things, and I think that's good. Conversation is good. And that's the only way we're going to move forward as a community. But I have no problem, since we have been good stewards of county taxpayer dollars. The manager has assured me that us taking this action does not put us at risk of our financing requirements. It also helps you in terms of future bond debt, current bond debt. And we expect that at some point in time we'll be able to reverse these numbers and those monies can be sent back to the county through some agreed upon measure. We haven't ironed that out. This just came to us formally tonight. This board has not discussed that. Several of us have spoken about it individually just to understand the depth and breadth of this creek. But this is unprecedented. This has never come before us. But at the same time, it's not unprecedented in the state. I spent about 40 minutes today talking with Commissioner Gloria Wisenhunt, who is with the Foresight Board of County Commissioners. They faced a similar situation about 2 years ago. They actually worked out an agreement with the Board of Education there to help continue their short funding that they didn't anticipate. It was self-inflicted to some degree as well. And I will say, most of what you have brought to us, and you can either agree or disagree, that it was not brought on by the state. It's internal controls that allowed this to happen. It wasn't state directed, other than the monies that you've already talked about the low well. And I think we, as the board, had already committed $3.5 million that was originally bond monies to cover a portion of that. So there's been ongoing conversation and cooperation by this board and all of those on this board, and I'm very appreciative of that show of unity from the board in this, and I have no problem moving that forward as a motion to do. We'll let Dr. Huchard and or the manager make their comments, and anyone else as well. But I wanted to give that introduction because I have been involved in every capital campaign bond program that's been done in Gaston County since 1999, and have worked very vigorously to support our school system and our facilities. We have started to make some leaps forward, and I'm proud of that. Are we where we need to be? Of course not. But we still need to continue that work and continue to make that a priority. And that's my comments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Huchard, much like Vice Chair Hovis, I want to commend you for sensing something was wrong. I greatly appreciate that before things got any worse. And this is a severe situation. I think we all can agree to that. But just in the effort of transparency, I know that you've talked to us individually. I would love for you to explain to our citizens what is the plan of how we're going to avoid being back in this situation a year from now.
Well, thank you, sir. We are assuring that we started last semester. We start planning in November, December for the following year, for the next year. So we have cuts we know that are coming because of our allotments. We have cuts becoming because we know of our financial situations. So we started right-sizing the ship for next year in November, December, and January. I think I've shared with you some of those numbers and positions and consolidation, potentially looking at that of schools. So we have a comprehensive plan. I will tell you, as we right-size the ship, as we get this correct from the start, I've asked HIL Consultants, who is a consulting firm I called in to help me figure out where we are. They will walk with us lockstep through July into the next year to make sure we get it right. And again, this is a consulting firm that's worked with 85 agencies. They have worked with, they were the ones called in at Winston-Salem, Forsyth for that. And they're working with 16 other LEAs right now, I'm told, that are having similar situations, not necessarily just for this school year, but for next school year. So we will get it right. We will share. We will have transparency. And I have multiple layers that have built in as I plan my second budget, if I will.
Thank you, sir. And just so our citizens understand the severity of this situation, if we don't approve, how many layoffs are coming?
Sir, I have to start Friday with 100, this Friday.
And it'll total out at how many?
It could total out to 400 total. The issue with, if I'm worried about payroll in April, May, and June, I have to start now because it doesn't add up if I wait till then. So it's a critical point tonight, this week.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Bailey.
Yes, mine's mainly just a statement to mainly the people in this room in the county. One of the things that, and I do appreciate you stepping forward and taking responsibility for this, and not personal responsibility for the not misspending money, but, you know, as a superintendent, you know, you're the boss.
Sir.
And everything stops with you.
Yes, sir.
This is state funding we're talking about. This is not county money. You know, the county is responsible for capital, just like Mr. Brown was saying. And we're using our taxpayer county money now to offset state funds. Okay, this is not our budget. This is not our school budget. This is the state budget that they're requesting money for. And one of the things I feel a little bit different, you know, we do invest quite a bit, in the school system. I don't think we invest enough in our teachers. My daughter's a teacher. I know how valuable teachers are. If we don't step forward and help the state keep our teachers in this county, we're going to lose them. I am for this, and when it first started, when it first came out, I had a sour taste in my mouth because it's not the county's responsibility at that point. It's a state thing. But like you said before, the state hasn't even passed a budget yet for, what, 2 years now? So, you know, the teachers aren't getting pay raises through the state, and I don't think it's fair to the teachers and a lot of your other state employees. I understand the school board, it was hard coming to the county to ask for this. And it was hard for me to say okay about it because of the taxpayers, because it's taxpayer money offsetting a state fund where you already pay state taxes for this. So I just want, you know, the people in the audience and the people watching understand, you know, this is it's an issue that's going to affect all of us, but this and our budget is different. Okay? And I do think we need to invest in this county more than our teachers. Thank you.
Mr. Keeger.
Yeah, I just wanted to get something out in the public. I think we're in agreement that this may cause the next bond referendum to get pushed back a year or two. Is that understood?
Yes, I would certainly not be opposed to that if we can get through. I need to get through
That would give us
July
a
1st.
chance to rebuild.
recap, rebuild.
Okay.
Ratings and
I just
interest.
wanted that put in the record.
Yeah, and I want to say, you all have been very generous, the taxpayers have been very generous with bond dollars. We have done more in the last 7 years with our schools and facilities and HVAC because of that, and I am thankful for
And
that.
there, next year there may be another board up here. 3 of us are on the ballot in November, and it could be a whole different set of circumstances, but as far as what's here and now, I just wanted to get that clarified.
Yes, sir, and I will tell you, Matt and I will work closely to work through that, yes, sir.
He told me.
Okay.
Mr. Cloninger.
I just wanted to say, I think that it's very unfortunate that we all are experiencing what we're experiencing tonight. But I think in taking responsibility is a huge big step, which I deeply appreciate. Because at the end of the day, we all represent our citizens and our taxpayers, and we all try to do what's right for the common good of all. And at the end of the day, we all have to work together. We may not like each other sometimes, or we may not respect each other, but at the end of the day, we have to do what's right for all the people that we serve in our county. And this hurts. I mean, it really, really does. It hurts my heart that this is happening and that we're having to take funds to use maybe perhaps even away from something else. But it's necessity to support our schools, for teachers to work, and to support our students. So thank you for bringing it to the light. And it's a good thing that was found when it was. Thank you.
Mr. Hovis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just like Mr. Keeger was alluding to, statutorily, we have no responsibility for this shortfall of yours that you're dealing with. But we understand that. It affects Gaston County. It affects our image. It affects our ability to recruit new businesses, new employees. It affects us everywhere. So I think the fact that your board has come to us in such a manner and this board has received your comments as what they are and the responsibility, it gives us a much better leg up in terms of dealing with the press and dealing with the public outcry. Very appreciative of that. And statutorily, like I said, we don't have a responsibility, but morally we do. And this board, I think, takes all that very seriously. That's what the comments that you've heard, and thank you so much.
I wanted to end this discussion by also saying thank you to you guys. Obviously, when you first called, we got together and we knew it was dire. I want to say something to the citizens and to the teachers, and also, we do value the teachers. And if the teachers don't know what the value they have in what's happening tonight, they should. This is a big, monumental thing for us to have to roll out over and over. This is outside of the $3.5 million from last month. This is another, we're at, whatever millions we're at now to get to the next point. When it was asked upon us about supplements, every year it's not just $500,000. That's a compounding annual thing going. I think we're over 9 million now, that continues to go. And it's something that we have done every year that I think we've been on this board, that we've done that to make sure that we do give supplements. And the reason that it's hard is because obviously those are going to state employees. When we have our own 2,000 employees that we can't give the same type of raise. So those are two separate things, and we give that annually to try to make sure that we show teachers that we care about them. But this right here is different. This right here is a 3-month stipend as we got to try to get to the end. If we didn't, then there would be dire consequences on what would happen for those people, those employees that would be without a job right now. Obviously, it's not the end and it's not the change, but hopefully the state can rectify their situation that they have going. We can't control them. Since 2023, they still haven't passed a budget. Not only does that affect you, it affects something that happened tonight to the 5th floor courthouse that we have money pending. So there's a lot of different variables here. People have talked about our fund balance. We've worked hard to do that. And we've worked hard to make sure that we pay off the bond debt that had accumulated to be able to build schools and be able to take care of things. And you talked about the HVAC systems or roofs. They never stop. It's always something perpetual. And the problem is that we can't keep kicking the can down the road. I want to thank you for your fortitude to finding this. I want to thank you, board members, Commissioner Kinlaw, Commissioner Stevens, and Dot for being back there, because them being here says a lot to what's going on tonight in severity. Josh, thank you for your help and fortitude to helping push this along. I know it's not been an easy situation for the last 7 days. But we met, we worked it out, we found common ground where we could help. Obviously, we want the state to help as well. So there's a lot of passages in there that we'll be doing. So we'll go ahead and I'll call for the vote.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Sheehan. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Do you want to say something now, ma'am? It's better if you don't talk. Just kidding. Oh, no items were pulled from the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as?
We did that. We did that.
I already did that. I know, I was making sure. Appointments. Mr. Fraley.
I have one, Mr. Chairman, Local Emergency Planning Committee, Mr. Colby Hebner, it's a reappointment.
Second. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Sheehan.
None at this time, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Bailey.
I have one.
the women ninth.
Wouldn't that be national?
Yeah, they're national.
I'm just saying, he said state, so just checking.
That's it.
All right.
Need some help?
No, I just keep skipping them all the time. Mr. Roten?
Just really quickly, a quick update on our budget process. I appreciate all of your engagement and participation during the process. We will be presenting the budget at the April 28th board meeting for your consideration and public consumption. And I think just a point about tonight and the action that you guys took for the schools, this board should be commended for their deliberate action to build fund balance. We had a low point in fund balance, roughly 10 years ago. And we're at a point to where when things like this arise, that you have the ability to take such action for economic opportunities, economic downturns, and then actions such as tonight. So I'm grateful for that deliberate behavior and actions, and we look forward to presenting a budget in about a month.
Mr. Goldberg?
Nothing to report, sir.
All right, finally got to this point. So I want to congratulate the Hunter Huss Huskies winning the 5A basketball men's state championship. Mr. Hovis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Don't know if any of you had the opportunity to watch the Board of Education's meeting earlier or last week. It was absolutely a great opportunity to watch that coach get up and give his testimony about how a school principal from Gaston County, born and raised in Gaston County, learned to teach and be a principal in Gaston County, became a superintendent in 2 other districts, came back and was interim superintendent for Gaston County Schools, changed his life. If you haven't seen the board meeting, please go to YouTube and watch it. It's inspiring, it's wonderful to hear, and the level of respect that those players gave their coach was unbelievable. That's all my comments.
I also want to congratulate, is it Yoshana Holland? At Stuart Kramer for being the Oshana Holland, is that correct? And I'm going to have her, she broke the record for the state scoring title at Stuart Kramer for women's basketball. I'm going to have her, and I'm also going to have the Hunter Huss team here to proclaim them when that comes around. So just let everybody know that. Also wanted to know, I have selected 3 commissioners, Commissioner Sheehan, Fraley, and Hovis, along with the appointee from the board staff, Mr. Skiba, to go over the procedures and rules for what we'll be doing for 27-28. That's been selected. You have a copy of your board procedures at your seat. If anybody needs to look at those are all internal. I would ask that each of you review the board processes and go over those. This concludes tonight's meeting. Our next session is scheduled for Tuesday, April 14th at 6 p.m. at the Harley B. Gaston Junior Public Forum Courthouse. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please telephone our clerk, Donna S. Buff, at 704-866-3196. Good night, funding.